What's up, guys? It's Chachi here to do a follow-up video for the contest that I was doing with the Godzilla and the Macross figure I'm giving away. This follow-up is mostly for the Macross figure because to win that you had to ask a question. I'm still working out the details how the question askers will win the prize, but it's probably going to be pick your name out of a hat. But this is going to be a pretty cool video. I'm going to try and keep it quick, but I gave you guys a chance to ask me any questions you wanted. I didn't get as many people as I wanted to do this, but nonetheless, it was fun. So I had a chance to look over the questions quick, but I don't know exactly what I'm going to be answering. It's mostly going to be off the top of my head. And I do want you guys to stay tuned towards the end of the video. Questlife did a video response or asking the questions. You can see that below in the comments, so check it out. He asked questions even though he wasn't interested in winning anything, but his questions pertain to a point in time in his life that he's reaching and that I've reached many times during my collecting. But anyway, we'll get to that later on. But so here's some of the questions. So first question is from No One's Hero. He asks, what is my favorite toy ever? When I was younger, now, and looking forward to. Well, answering which is my favorite when I was younger, that's, I guess, very easy. That would have to be Voltron. And back then, before even the Voltron toy came out, there was a Lionbot. And I'm pretty sure Lionbot was out before Voltron was, because Lionbot was a bootleg of Go Lion. So, Voltron came out, then I saw Lionbot toys laying around over in New York, and then the Voltron toys actually came out, the Matchbox ones in the stores, which were pretty expensive, but so were the Lionbots back then. So aside from all the little miscellaneous toys I got back then, I would have to say the Lionbot / Voltron, it was my favorite of all time as a kid, and pretty much now. That's the second part of the question, is which is my favorite toy now. There's some that obviously are more modern and more whatever feats of engineering compared to the older toys. So it would have to be like a two-sided question, like what's my favorite? My Go Lion. That's my favorite toy now. My Popey Go Lion, which is just essentially the Voltron, the original packaging one. But I have other favorites too. The Daitarn. The Daitarn 3 Solar Chogokin, that's one of my favorites because it's also a favorite of mine as a kid. And adding to that, going back, someone says I have ADD, but I guess I do. But going back to the question about when I was younger, I also had a Daitarn toy, which was one of my favorites. It started off not being a favorite because I didn't know who the hell it was, but it ended up being awesome. But yeah, so the Solar Chogokin Daitarn 3 is one of my favorites now. So it's got Sigma. A lot of the Solar Chogokins are really good. But as far as saying like favorite, like it has to be like, willing to die for them, no, probably nothing really, because most of the stuff that I like is due to nostalgia, so that kind of adds to me having a favorite type of toy. Because honestly, like say, for example, Power Rangers have robots built up of robotic animals, and I can't stand, no offense to you Power Rangers fans, but I can't stand robots made up of robotic animals. And somehow I love Voltron, the Lion Force, and it's made out of robotic lions. Go figure. So a lot of that has to do with me being attached to it as a kid. Looking forward, again, I hate to have all three answers pretty much the same, but I'm looking forward to a Go Lion. A real good Go Lion. Mattel is the one that's handling the whole Voltron property right now, and it's like a mixed bag. I'm not interested in the whole gimmick. I'm not going to get into it, so don't worry, but I'm not interested in the gimmick. I'm just interested in having a gigantic Voltron. That's all I care about. But hopefully their license disappears eventually, and Bandai, which according to some reps I've spoken to in the past, are interested in making a Solar Chogokin Go Lion. So I would like Bandai, which made the original, or it was Popey at the time, to take a hand at making the ultimate Go Lion. So hopefully with all the gimmicks and everything like that. So that's really what I'm looking forward to in the future. And Daitarn already came out, so I don't even have to mention that. So that's No One Hero's question. Okay. Second question is from Daniel Ting. How did I become a reviewer at Collection DX? And that's a very good question. I've been asked that many times. I came about it rather easily, I guess. There wasn't much of trying. I don't remember exactly if I was already talking to Josh, because they had a live show going on at some point, and I don't know if I was already a reviewer when the live show. I think I was already a reviewer when the live show was up. But if I can recall, I had gotten a Mega House figure, the Dr. Slump. I forgot the name. It's a chubby robot. I can't believe I forgot the name. Yeah, I totally forgot the name. But it was a die-cast robot made by Mega House, and I'll put the name down here because I can't think of it at the moment. And I told Josh, I was like, hey, listen, I got a pretty cool robot that I'd like to review for you guys. And he said, sure, why not? And I didn't have access to the site. I just pretty much just sent him what I wanted to be put up, and I told him, you know, what order the pictures need to be up, and he would post that up. And then I got chances to do it repeatedly until I became a trusted reviewer, which meant that I was given access to the site, and I was allowed to upload pictures. I was allowed to do the reviews, and pretty much free will. But I mean, there's certain rules that and certain things you have to follow, and there's really like not a class that you take to be a Collection DX reviewer, but there's certain things that go without saying when you're already been there for a while. Like, you know, obviously make sure nobody else is already handling that review. Make sure you're not duplicating reviews. So it was a learning process because you know, I didn't have access to everything, so I wouldn't know if somebody's gonna. For example, there was a slight issue when I did the Masterpiece MP10, which you know, I checked the listing. I didn't see anybody doing it. But they already had in the works to receive one from a sponsor. So I went up, put the review, caused a little bit of a mess there. So, you know, a few things had to be worked out where I can actually see what stuff is in the works. So, you know, stuff like that to look out for. I'm pretty much getting away from the question, which was how did I become a reviewer. So simply put, I just did a review and just kept doing reviews, became a trust reviewer, and I'm still there now. And I'm just very happy that I'm able to do certain things with them, like you know, the show, go to Toy Fair, you know. So I help behind the scenes too, which is really cool, you know. And if Josh, you're watching this, thank you. I really do appreciate it, even though I don't always get the chance to tell you that. But yeah, and all the guys at Collection DX are great. Everybody's cool. They have get-togethers and stuff. Speaking of which, Summit's coming up, so I have some plans to do some videos there, probably on the Collection DX side, but you know, I'll try to throw some little tidbits for a video log or something. So yeah, that was Daniel Ting's question. Thank you very much. That was a good question. Next question is from Drunken Sin. Was there a figure you wished you didn't waste money on despite knowing its flaws? Fortunately for me, most of my purchases have been non-regrettable. There's been obviously like purchases you make with buyer's remorse. You buy it and you feel remorse, but they haven't been figures that I've regretted because of their quality, just because of the cost and stuff I have to handle, like bills and living, and end up not having money. But I think, you know, this is probably not the answer you want to hear, but recently, when I did a review of it, was the what's it called? The Arachnid, the Transformers Prime Robots in Disguise Arachnid. I bought that. I usually hit up a Toys R Us if I pass by to see if there's any new figures, and really the only new stuff coming out is basically Prime figures. You know, I'm more into the classics like Universe and Generations and stuff like that, but that stuff's pretty much done with until the new generations come out, which I heard suck anyway. But yeah, the Arachnid, I saw reviews on it. Everybody complained about how horrible it was, and I bought it. And then I did the review, and when I was done with the review, I'm thinking I'm holding a $15 turd, and I'm thinking like 15 bucks could have put gas money in my car, could have bought a box of diapers for my baby. So I'm not gonna say I regretted it. I was able to do the review to put it up there for you guys, but I felt like I should not have wasted money on it at all, despite knowing its flaws. But aside from that, I think everything I've bought I pretty much have been happy with, or and even if there are figures with flaws, like for example, the Takara Rodimus masterpiece, that the MP09 I think it is, that I didn't know about the flaws till after, but that wouldn't have stopped me from buying it, so it's not really answering the question anyway. But I don't really play with the toy, so if there's like a flaw, like after 5 transformations something breaks, it really doesn't matter to me. If the figure looks cool, I don't plan on transforming it 5 million times, so whatever. But nothing, I can't think of anything, so the answer would be aside from Arachnid, nothing on the expensive side. So now Riku DLG asks this: what got you into collecting, and what is the most exciting thing about the hobby to you? I really don't know at what point I got into collecting. I think the very first memory of me actually buying something for myself to collect was, believe it or not, a Voltron. So like I said, I grew up with Voltron, wanting a Voltron, could never afford a Voltron. I only had a yellow lion that my grandma, God rest her soul, bought me, and it's probably my most favorite Voltron toy. But yeah, she got me that, and it was a bootleg, but it had the Go Lion logo on it, which is really weird. I wish somebody knew something about it. I don't have the box anymore. But aside from that, there was a time when I had a paper route and I was coming back from a baseball game, and I saw a kid just sitting in the street selling toys, like 3 or 4 toys, and one of them happened to be the Voltron, and I asked how much he wanted for it, and he said 10 bucks. So I raced home and actually stole money from the little, what do you call them, the fanny packs. I used to actually wear a fanny pack when I would go collecting money for the newspapers. So I stole the money that the people paid for the newspapers just so I can go and buy the toy. So that was my first complete Voltron, and I think I was hooked after that. Obviously I was a little too young to really have money to collect, but that was the first thing I really collected for myself. But collecting didn't really start for me until like, I have to say, the 90s somewhere. At some point, like, you start getting into girls, and then like toys are like not evil, but like you want to be away from toys as much as possible, obviously, because you're trying to get chicks and stuff. But I wasn't even interested in toys at the time. But then at some point I got like back into watching anime, and I got all nerdy, like just really weird phase for me. But I started to frequent this place called Outer Limits, which had a bunch of different stuff. Yeah, I got Godzilla stuff, robot stuff, comics, everything. And I was mostly buying just like fan-subbed animes, but they had like little robot things here and there, and I was kind of getting a little bit nostalgic at the time too, because I bought a Lion Bot from there, which is my first full complete Lion Bot with a box and all accessories. I also bought some Macross figures, because to me, I'm like, oh, these are from Robotech. I used to watch Robotech all the time. So I started buying little things here and there, and then I realized that I started to collect because I was leaving them in the box. And then I knew, like, wow, like I'm actually leaving them in the box and collecting, and it was a really weird thing for me because I didn't know about collecting in that way. I just felt like I needed to leave them in a box, which is really weird because people do that because they want to sell them in the future, but I was just leaving them in the box because I was just afraid of messing them up, and they were expensive and I wasn't going to play with them. So it got a little bit weird, like I collected things, and that kind of was over quick. And then again, a couple years passed by, and then all of a sudden I started buying like Power Ranger stuff and like and at one time during high school, sorry to go back, but my friend would collect action figures, and at the time like Ninja Turtles were out and stuff, and he would collect Ninja Turtles, and I'd end up walking out with action figures that I didn't really want to collect, but I still have them and I never opened them. So that was a little bit of helping me get into collecting. But another time, let's go back to where I was when I had a girlfriend and everything, and I would see like the Power Rangers. I'd buy those up once in a while, buy little things, and I knew collecting was becoming a part of my life because I would actually get, like for example with this one girl, she would get me Robotech stuff. Like she knew I liked Robotech, so I would get that stuff for my birthday. Then I started collecting a little bit and still nothing. Then I got into cars, and like I was sort of already into cars, but the cars took over my life. I was doing it semi-professionally. I guess it counts as professionally if you're getting paid to do it. So yeah, I was doing stunt driving. A lot of you know I was doing drifting, but the majority of what I did was technically stunt driving. I was just doing stuff, you know, for example this right here, just doing crazy stuff, not really drifting, not really driving competitively, but it was really fun.
Okay. My girl will kill me if I get out there. Hey, no laughing. What's that? Give it up for my boy Chucky.
Hey, Carlos!
Alright guys, you guys gotta watch this man right here. He'll come back around first gear, second gear now. So he's coming around holding that line up, nice little touch, but to get more smoke, hit that bump. As he comes around here, full roll, second gear, forward, we'll make some
So I was doing that for a few years, and in the meantime, not really collecting. And then all of a sudden, one day I just got nostalgic for my Voltron stuff. I pulled it out, put it on shelves, and then I started searching online. That's how I found Collection DX. I had actually found Robot Japan first, the forum, and I also found Collection DX, and I didn't realize how long they had been around by that point. But I started to check that stuff out, and I thought it was really cool, and that's what really got me into collecting. Then I realized there were die-cast toys out there, which were my favorite things as a kid, so I bought an Evangelion Soba Chugokin, which probably wouldn't have been the best thing to start with, but I was still impressed because the toy was made out of metal. But it's not really that much of an impressive toy to begin with. But so that started a whole chain reaction. From that point on, it was just collecting Chogokin, which brings us to where I am now, really. From that point, I have increased my collection like you would not believe, you know. So I've gone so far with that question, and there's a second part to it. So I'm going to cut it off there since I've pretty much gotten up to where we are now. And the second part of the question from Riku DLG is what is the most exciting thing about the hobby for me? Or what is the most exciting thing about the hobby to you? Which he's asking me. The most exciting thing is really the people you meet. That has to be the most exciting thing, because collecting and just being like a weirdo in your house, like keeping things in a box, I've learned that's the weird zone in collecting. It's not something I want to be stuck doing. A lot of people collect just to collect, and you know, it gets boring, and that's, in my opinion, not the best way to collect. The whole thing is you meet people. Like I've met people with Collection DX, I've met Josh, a bunch of friends, and that's what's really the coolest thing, because you know, I can go anywhere and find toys. I can go on eBay, you know, forums and stuff, but I always look forward to the summits because that's when everybody gets together and you get to talk about stuff. So, honestly, who the hell am I going to talk with about robots around here? You know, nobody at work, none of my regular friends, no. So it gives me a chance to be able to be nerdy for a little while. So I think that's the most exciting thing. Second most exciting is obviously just getting new stuff. If it's something you've really been waiting for, like I think what was I freaking out over? Was it the Die Tarn? when the Daytona Solo Chigokin came out, it was just suspense every day until it finally came out. When I had it in my car, I don't even think I was able to drive home. When I got home, I ripped it open. It was like an amazing thing. So that's also what's exciting. So thank you, Riku DLG, for that question. Next question is from Fats Toys. And before I continue, the noise that you hear, ambient noise, that's actually, aside from the dog barking, it's my air conditioner because it's hot in here, and there's fireworks outside. It's 4th of July, so happy 4th of July. And I'm inside not watching fireworks because it's way too effing hot. I got a baby and stuff like that. So anyway, Fats Toys asks, how do you feel when you find a figure or figures you've been hunting for a long time? Let's see, what has been... I remember I was... It mostly happens with Transformers because they're easily accessible. You can just go to the store. It's not so much searching for stuff online because you always find anything you need online. But as far as like hunting down, like going to stores, I remember hunting down Wheeljack. I remember I couldn't find them anywhere. When I finally found them, it's like you get this rush of emotion, like, oh, like you want to scream, but you don't want to scream because you're 36 years old in a toy store, freaking out over a $13 toy, but you kind of want to hold it in, like you're yelling in your head, like, yeah, biatch, yelling all these things inside your head and just trying to keep your composure. So that's really how I feel. And then sometimes stuff just grabs me by surprise, like the glow-in-the-dark RoboCop. That I literally said out loud, like, whoa, I don't even remember what I said. It probably wasn't even in words. But it's this guy right here. Let me show you. I'm just walking around, I see this hanging up, glow-in-the-dark RoboCop, like, freaked out. And I wasn't even hunting it. But for hunting, yeah, that's the kind of reaction I get, is like just a bunch of, I feel like blowing up, but I can't. And it happens because you drive everywhere. You go to all these stores and you get disappointed when you walk in and see the same damn peg warmers, and then all of a sudden, boom, there's a new figure. And you know you're the first person to get it because the pegs are all full, they're bursting, and all the pegs in the back have the old figures, and all of a sudden there's like one new one in the front. And yeah, so it's a great feeling. So thank you, Fats Toys. That's a good question. Sorry, didn't have anything more exciting to say. Just next question is from Emo Pop Boy. What is my favorite Macross figure? This could be answered in two ways. One is what's the actual literal figure that's my favorite, or what's my favorite like figure in the show, or the character or whatever. As far as my favorite Macross figure, I don't really have one. It would probably have to be the Chunky Monkey 155 scale Jetfire mold, for those of you that aren't familiar with the Macross mold of that. But it's basically, for the majority of people that know what the G1 Jetfire is, that mold, but the Macross. That's like my favorite figure, and it would have to be in the VF1S, the skull leader, which is the yellow with the yellow marking and the skull right here on the cockpit. And it's my favorite because I've seen it all my life and I've always wanted it, but I could never have it, And when I did find it, I think it cost $119, if I'm not mistaken, for this big box that had all the super parts in there. And at the time I thought it was expensive, and I'm thinking now it was a good deal, but back then I didn't have a good job. So, and as far as like which robot, which figure, whatever is my favorite, the same thing. The VF1S, the Skull Squadron, Skull whatever leader, in any form, 160 scale, tiny, big, whatever, it doesn't matter. That's my favorite one. So, good question, Emo Pop Boy. Thank you. And Unboxings Galore has a non-toy question for me. It says, was I ever a member of Mischief, or was I ever featured on Mischief DVD? So for those of you that don't know what Mischief is, if I'm not mistaken, because I have been out of the scene for a little while, Mischief would make videos of people, street racing, doing crazy antics on the street. And if I'm also not mistaken, Mischief kind of evolved from another video, and I may be wrong. Maybe somebody, my age that was into that and still into it now can correct me, or if anybody knows can correct me. But I think Mischief used to be Autobuzz, or a guy from Autobuzz deals with the Mischief DVDs, or maybe they're not even related. Maybe I'm just an idiot. But Autobuzz used to do car videos in the past, and like they would start to get crazier, and then I noticed they were being called Mischief. So yeah, they're like basically DVDs that have people doing crazy car stuff. So was I in Mischief? The honest answer is I don't know if I've been in there. I have been in miscellaneous DVDs because I usually have gone drifting in lots, and there have been people filming and they say it's for DVDs, whatever, and they need my consent. So I don't know. I don't know for sure. As a matter of fact, someone had sent me a email, or not an email, a comment through Facebook saying like, hey, I saw you on a Type B street racing DVD or something. So I went to, I think it was FYE, one of those DVD places, and I picked it up, and sure enough, I was in there. It was me before my car was a race car, but I was still drifting. We went, I don't even know where we were, Maryland maybe? I think we were in Maryland, but I was seeing a girl in Virginia, and she came up to Maryland. I don't remember the whole story, but I think we were in Maryland, or maybe we were in Virginia. I don't know. That's besides the point. But anyway, it's just, there's a video of me doing donuts with my girlfriend at the time, standing there, and I'm doing donuts like ready to run her over, but I was just doing donuts. And that's it. That's as far as I know. And besides that, I've been in option videos because I was in the D1 Grand Prix, and there's a couple of other DVDs I can't really think of, but specifically Mischief, I'm not sure. So, and I don't have any of them to peruse or anything like that, so I can't say I have. But good question anyway, because most people that do crazy stuff in cars do end up being in that DVD. And the last question for the contest comes to us from Leo Breaker over in Colombia. Leo Breaker, a good friend of mine in Colombia. I really can't say enough good things about him. He's just an awesome guy. Make sure you check out the Colombian adventure video with his interview. It took me a lot of time to do the subtitling, so check it out. And it's really cool to get to know him. But he asks, I'm gonna have to read this real quick just so I can word it right. Basically, what would be my ideal figure if a manufacturer came to me and manufactured something according to specifications? So think of the answer, because it's very easy. And if you guessed Voltron, Go Lion, Linebot, you are absolutely correct. If someone just contacted me, and I always say I wish Mattel would just contact a huge fan of Voltron to design their Voltron toys, there would be nothing to complain about. And of course, that's all subjective because, you know, maybe my ideal Voltron is not somebody else's ideal Voltron. But I would remain very genuine to what Voltron is, as far as in the cartoon, what he does. I wouldn't add gimmicks that are stupid. In other words, I'd make them where every Voltron fan could be happy. Proportions, I know what he's supposed to look like proportion-wise, and no one's ever really gotten his proportions down right. No one. So, you know, of course he changes in the show. Sometimes he's really thin, sometimes he has really fat feet, you know. As a matter of fact, Mattel did the Blazing Sword Voltron, and the feet look really fat, and that was a big complaint of mine. But then you look at the show, and it's like, yeah, I guess his feet are that fat. But there's like there's a delicate balance to where you can say this is what he's supposed to look like, and I have the vision in my head, but really no manufacturer is going to come to me and ask me that. But if the manufacturer could and did, it would have to be Voltron, and I would say, look, it has to be this has to happen, the fists have to come off, the chest, the weapons, and all this stuff would have to be done for it to be a proper Voltron toy. So thank you, Leo, for that question. Voltron, Voltron, Voltron. And Quest Life, like I said, did a what do you call it? A video response down here somewhere in the bottom, asking me a couple questions. He's not in the contest, but I do thank you for making a video and asking these questions. He's going through a point in his life. Apparently, he's getting a little burnt out with collecting and stuff like that, and I can totally understand, because he's actually commented to me as to how I'm able to do this. But I'm going to read you the questions how he asked me, and I'm going to answer them. So the one question is question number 1. How do I keep on going with as much enthusiasm as I have with collecting? And there's a thing you guys don't see. If I make videos, it's because I'm enthusiastic at the moment about it, but I'm not always enthusiastic about collecting. Sometimes I do get burnt out, because collecting, I think, can become a sickness, really. And you got to be careful, because collecting can, and will. If you're in it deep enough, it will take over your life at certain points, and you have to know when to back off. You have to know when to say, yeah, this is a little bit too far, and I've been doing pretty good with that. So, but the enthusiasm, you're not going to do something with enthusiasm unless you like to do it, and like with most things in life, you go through phases, I don't like to call what I did in the past phases, because I'm still interested in them. Like, I had a band, and I'm not doing the whole band thing anymore, even though I want to. The driving, the drifting, I would still be drifting if I had the money and the sponsors. But there's certain things that you go all gung-ho about, and then they just pass, So like, it could just very well be that he just wasn't meant to collect, but he just, at the moment, it was a cool thing to do, and he has fun doing it. And another thing too is just, like he said, he's burnt out, and who knows, he might come back full force soon, But as far as me, I do get burnt out, and quite frequently. Even not too long ago, I just, out of nowhere, just stopped doing reviews on Collection DX. It was really hard to keep up with what I was wanting to do with my channel. And sometimes you'll see it. Like, sometimes I'm having fun with my reviews, and sometimes I seem out of it, or just something's missing from the review. I'm not really doing it the right way, So sometimes I feel like I'm forcing myself to do reviews. So, you get to a point where you have to reevaluate everything, and that's what I've done. So I've done a lot of reevaluating, and that's really just made it that much more fun to start doing videos again, But you have to have fun with it. I mean, like, I got to the point, like I said, where collecting was just completely taken over. You start searching so much for certain things, and you don't find them, and it starts bumming you out, and then you start spending more money than you want to, and it just makes it less fun. So then you're doing a review knowing that you spent all this money on crap, and it wasn't really necessary to have. So I've kind of backed off with this stuff to stuff that, like, I really want. Like, one of the things that I got, or not one of the things I got. For example, today we went to a store, and they had really cheap toys. I don't even know how they had them priced so cheap. But one of them happened to be like that vehicle in Tron, the big wheels, which I always thought was an awesome vehicle. And I'm thinking, it's $3. It's $3. Can't go wrong with it. I'll get it, do a review on it. And I'm thinking, like, this is how the bad stuff starts. It's $3. That doesn't mean I have to get it. Put it back. I don't need it. That would be unfocusing my collecting habits, So if you guys see yourself, I'm going to take this moment to say a couple of things, try and do it quick, because this video is already long as hell. If you see yourself just constantly collecting everything just to finish the line, what's that called, completist, I don't agree with that. If you have to go through difficulty, monetary difficulty, to do everything, it's not right. setting aside other priorities like life to do your collecting, that's not right. Buying stuff and keeping it in a box forever, just think about that for a second. I understand you buy something and the whole awesomeness of it is just being, in a box. Like, it's so fresh, no one's ever touched it, it's virgin. I understand it, but who are you saving it for? You're gonna hold on to it and then sell it, and then the next person's gonna have fun with it. You know what I mean? So, like I said in the beginning of the video, I was buying things and keeping them in a box, and then just one day bolt came loose in my head or something. I started unpacking everything. It was like Christmas. I was like, oh my god. I opened everything that I never opened before, and it was like the best day of my life. And now I always open everything. Some of you may be like, oh, you're devaluing everything. I don't really give a crap. If I'm devaluing something because I take it out of the box and put it in a display case and never ever touch it again, then who cares? At least I get to look at it in the display case. A lot of you guys may have spent good money on vintage stuff in a box, and the person might know that you're never going to open it. How do you know they didn't stuff a rock in there? The other person's like, he'll never open this because it's sealed. And sealed, what is it, Scotch tape? Like, it's so hard to replace Scotch tape. I take the Scotch tape over everything that I unseal just because I don't like having cut tape on there, and I can reseal it if I want, no biggie. But then there's the other side of collecting, which is dark, which is just compulsive. There's people that do reviews, big reviewers on here that I feel are compulsive. They are just, if they're making money off YouTube and paying for the stuff, it still doesn't make it okay, because it's just still compulsive. Like, there's people reviewing masks and costume play stuff for kids. It doesn't even fit on their head. I saw one recently, the mask doesn't even fit on the guy's head. He could barely get his hands to the glove, and then he's like saying, oh, I can't, the gloves really don't. Of course it doesn't fit. It's for a kid. Like, why review? If you're going to review it, say, grab a kid or something, put it on a kid and say, look, this is what it looks like, and then have the kid say, oh, well, this is too tight. But if you're an adult putting on kid stuff, of course it's going to be tight and it's going to hurt. It's meant for kids. I don't know if that needs to be any more obvious, but yeah, I don't know. Just when I see people just collect to collect, it's a bit annoying. And when you see people like, I need this mint and sealed box. Maybe if you want it mint and sealed, just it's in good shape. Then when you open it, but if you don't open it, you're just saving it. That's pretty dumb too. Because one day, I don't know, someone else is gonna open it when you die. I don't. Number 2, how do I manage all of this? How do I manage collecting, YouTube reviews, CDX reviews, life outside YouTube, kid and wife? How do I manage all this? Well, it's very careful preparation. Another thing is a very, very, and I mean very, understanding wife, because I could think of any girl I've ever known, and they would never put up with me doing reviews on toys. They would just think I'm a freaking maniac. My wife is very understanding. If I tell her I need to do a review, she's cool with it. She might not be completely happy, but she'll never get angry, never yell. So it definitely helps to have an understanding wife or girlfriend, or not have one at all. Really, I wouldn't condone giving up a female or a male, depending on who you are or what you like, just for toys and stuff. But it's an option. So life outside of YouTube. I work full time. I come home, do a couple of things, and go to bed. So it's a really uneventful life, except for the weekends. The weekends we tend to go out, but during the week, not much going on. So how does all this fit into my schedule? Well, I take my day off, which is usually Tuesdays, and I grab whatever I have to review, and I do everything that day. So in the beginning, when I first started doing videos, I had to edit like every 10 seconds. It was like one sentence, stop, one sentence, stop. You'll notice that in my old videos, it wasn't a continuous video, you know, like it is now with this vlog. You'll only notice a couple of edits, but you know, you get better along the way, and then you're able to just kick out a review in about 6 to 8 minutes. You know, you spend about half an hour editing, and it takes about an hour to render or whatever, depending on the length of the video. But this is exactly how I do it. If I have a day off, I start in the morning or in the early afternoon. I say, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I don't plan any of my reviews. I just hit record and I do it. Once I'm done with one, grab the next, do the video, grab the next, do the video. Sometimes I can do up to 4 videos in one day. So what happens, I work on one, then I get too lazy to do the other 3. Next Tuesday rolls around, I got 4 more things to do, or 5, or even 1. I do those. So now, aside from the ones I didn't really work on yet, that I filmed, I got more on top of that. So say I do 2 more, then I still got like 6 more in the background. Next week rolls around, I got 4 more. So all these things start piling up. So I got things lined up. And then one day that I don't have anything to review, or if it's late at night or whatever, I'm just bored, I'll edit all the videos and I'll save them. But I won't render them. So I have a bunch of videos ready to be rendered. And then there'll be a day where I'll just sit down and start rendering all of them, which is why you see all these videos just pop up at once, because I end up rendering them. Sometimes I'll put them up as soon as I render. Sometimes I'll render them and just collect them on the computer, and then finally just spit them out one day. And you guys are like, how the hell does he have time to do that? So that's my trick, you know. And I fit Collection DX in there the same way. If I have 2 reviews to do for my channel, I'll set aside CDX also to be part of that day. Today, for example, I have a day off. It's July 4th. Yesterday should have been my day for doing reviews, but we went out and had fun. Today, I did Mogera, the Revoltech one for CDX. I didn't do anything on mine except for this video. So it just finds its way, which is the only way I can explain it. So really, it may seem like I'm doing this all week. I may touch here and there every day, but I don't spend all day, except for Tuesday, doing this stuff. And it helps, you know, not having much to do during the week, you know, just aside from working, coming home. But if you're the type of person that has to go out every night, you're not going to find time to do that. So, you know, I don't really recommend taking, if you're going to be home, might as well make use of it. And you know, if you like doing videos, make videos. But if you have the chance to go out and have fun, you know, you should be doing that, not sitting at home doing videos. But if you're not going to go anywhere, it's a rainy day, or if you're just going to sit home because you got to work early the next day like me, you know, make videos, whatever. But I think that's it. And of course, if you're feeling burnt out, it's definitely a good time to say to yourself, you know, let me just relax and chill, because it sounds like you have some new things going on in life, meeting new people, friends and stuff. And if really, like what I was just saying, if that's what's been missing recently, which is what has gotten you to do most of the videos, then take advantage of that. Just go out and have the fun, because if that's making you realize that the collecting is not as good as it used to be, that's because that's something that you need to be doing, which is whatever it is you're doing. If it has anything to do with the way you feel, or if you just feel burnt out because you're doing a lot of stuff, then just lay back a sec, you know. It's very easy to get burnt out. Even though I've made, how many videos have I made? Over 100. I would say I get burnt out many times making those hundreds of videos. Sometimes I don't even want to look at a toy. I don't really care. So I give myself some time, and then out of nowhere, enthusiasm back. But I would definitely recommend taking some time off. You definitely look burnt out, because just like maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, you were going crazy about you know, the ES Goken line and stuff, and I can totally feel where you're coming from, dude. Totally. 'Cause I've been there many times, many times. You know, you got burnt out. I'm surprised you went 2 years without getting burnt out. I get burnt out. It could happen. As soon as I'm done with this video. Maybe I just won't do videos for another month. I don't know. But that goes for anybody else out there. But that's it, guys. I don't know if you have any other questions. Feel free to ask. This video is definitely very, very long. But yeah. So I hope you enjoyed it. The results of the winning people will be up soon. So I got, I don't know, maybe I don't feel like counting, my eyes hurt, but there's only a few people that are in for the Macross drawing, so I will choose you guys out of a hat. I've just decided now to do that. Or maybe not a hat, I don't have a hat. Actually I do have a hat, but I won't use that one. So probably throw in the bag like I usually do and choose a winner. Same thing with Godzilla, very easy. I don't want to make it too difficult. But that's it, guys. I'll talk to you soon. I'm hungry as hell, so